All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. I hope you're having a good Monday/Tuesday, depending on where you are in the world. I'd like to welcome you to Growing with Your Partners. There she is, Liz. Learning to set shared sales goals with Liz Heiman, who you can see has just appeared on our screen. My name's Connie Carter, and I'm going to be the facilitator for this morning's webinar. But before we get started, I want to introduce two special people. First is Liz Heiman. She's a United States-based sales expert. She's the CEO and Chief Sales Strategist at Regarding Sales. And we have Jonathan Hubbard. He's the CEO and founder at Numerik. All right, before we hook into it, I just want to give a quick little rundown of the things we're going to touch on today. First up, Liz is going to be sharing us a quick little presentation where she's going to give us her approach to setting sales goals with distributors and how that can really help you grow your sales results. After this, Jonathan's going to be building on Liz's points with a product demonstration of our latest Numerik feature, which is customer goal cards. And after this, we're just going to have a quick little panel discussion/interview where Jonathan is going to ask Liz a few questions to expand on Liz's topic. Awesome. All right. So from here, Liz, I'll hand it over to you. I'll put your slides up on the screen. Please walk us through your approach to growing with partners and how setting those sales goals with your distributors can help you grow your sales results.
Just muted, Liz, I think.
Oh, just muted. There we go.
I got muted. Hi, I'm Liz Heiman, and my mission is to take the mystery out of sales. It's really important that sales is both manageable and predictable, and people think that it can't be, but it absolutely can, even when you're working through a partner. The first thing that we really need to think about is that we tend to think if I have a partner that I'm selling through, or a distributor or an agent or whatever we call them, that all I can do is take orders and just be reactive. And that's absolutely not true. A lot of companies believe that the distributors have a certain level of independence, which they do. But because of that all they can do is wait around for the sales to come, and they can't do anything to be proactive about their selling. And you actually can be proactive. You can allocate the right resources to your partners, and you can have the right communication so that you can predict sales. What happens when we don't align in the right way and we aren't proactive about their goals and our goals, we seriously become order takers and we start begging. When is that going to close? When is that going to close? When is that going to close? And who wants that? I mean, that's no fun. We don't badger our clients and we don't badger our partners. So what we need to do is to be able to build a relationship that supports their success and therefore our success. So let's talk about how do you get to be proactive with your distributors. Talk to your distributors regularly. Find out what their goals are. Figure out exactly what they need from you in order to sell that product. Support whatever that need is. Figure out some co-marketing opportunities so that we're actually working together to grow income, and have a predefined way to check on the status of existing leads so that we're not badgering, but we have a process that we go through with them where we communicate about what's going on and what they need from us and what they think the timing will be so we can deliver in time. It's all about them, not about us. And if we don't take time to understand our distributors, then we are not ever in a position to help them, and we're only in a position to badger them, which we don't want to do. And so part of this is not just building the relationship, but tracking the success. And you can't track success unless you know how they define success. So what we know about distributors is they sell what works. If it's easy for them, if people are buying it, if they get a good commission, that's what they sell. So you have to make sure that your product works for them. So start by understanding your distributors. Each distributor, sometimes you may just have one person that's an agent or a distributor. Sometimes you have a whole group of people. So you need to understand for each of the people that's distributing your product, what are their personal revenue or sales goals? And how much of it do they want to be with you? And then what do their clients need? And how are they positioned in the marketplace to be successful? And how do you support their positioning? So we have to have these conversations and not make assumptions across all of our distributors, but to actually have conversations with each one about what's important to them. And I often talk to companies who have one relationship in a distributor, and they're not doing the work to build other relationships. So once you really learn what one person a distributor needs, and you build that relationship, you ought to be able to figure out what the other people need, because it's probably going to be fairly similar. Your product has to fit with the other products that they sell. Often we force relationships that don't work. If it doesn't fit nicely with what they're doing, they're not going to sell it. It's too hard. It has to be an easy product to sell for them. They have to have the right relationships. They have to know how to sell it. They have to have the tools to sell it, or they're not going to. Their clients, you have to know who their clients are, so you know that their clients want what you're selling. If there's not that connection, it doesn't make sense to have them as partners. You have to provide them tools, and you have to compensate them well. I often hear, companies talking about what they want to give their distributors, and I'm like, yeah, you can do that. And if it's really super simple and it fits into something else, they'll sell it. But it has to make them money, or they're not going to do it because their time is valuable. So we want to pick the right distributors. Do we share the same client profile? If you don't know who your ideal client is, and you don't know who your ideal agent or distributor is, or partner, then you won't be able to align. You have to be really clear about who your product is best for. You have to share updates with each other. You have to they have to sell products that fit with yours. If you're asking them to go outside of their normal interactions, it doesn't work. So make sure that it fits into their product line well, and that they are so happy with your relationship and with your product, and that fits so well with their clients that they prioritize you over any other option. So that takes building relationships. So if you're going to do that, all that work, you're going to give them all the tools they need and support them and do all of that, then you have to also make sure that your work is paid off. So you want to actually have regular meetings with your distributors, at least quarterly. What do they expect to sell so that you can be prepared to deliver it? How can you help them hit their personal goals? What tools do they need? What support do they need? What products do they need to be improved or developed? And where do you stand with them compared to your competitors? So many distributors sell competitive products. So if you need to know how you're positioned so you can help them work with you more. And we just don't want to be sitting around waiting. So how do we talk to them about goals? So I think it's really simple. You have a quarterly and a yearly agenda. The first one is yearly. I'm going to actually start with yearly. You want to ask them, what are your goals overall? How much money do you want to make this year? How much are you going to make with us? And all the things I've been talking about, you go through them. What do you need for support from us? Do you need product? Do you need samples? Do you need infographics? Do you need articles? Do you need displays? What do you need from us in order to do what you're doing? One of my clients used to sell to funeral directors, and they were trying to set up what they were selling in a way that it didn't fit in the funeral home. So they had to change that model. What tools do they need? Like I said, and what marketing do they need? How can you support them with marketing so that you're delivering leads to them? And being really aware of what changes are happening in their market and talking to them about it, because that may change what you're doing. And then quarterly, so you get this long-term plan, and then you do it quarterly. How's your show them what their progress toward the goal that you guys created together, and what's their progress toward their own personal goal with all of the products that they sell. And if they're not selling the other products, how do you help them sell more of yours? Updates on delivery, keep them updated on when things are going to happen, whether things are taking longer or less time. Update together on leads, whatever leads you have for them, whatever leads you've given them, whatever they're bringing to you, that you have a process for talking about them. Again, you ask them every quarter, what additional support do you need from us this quarter? What else can we do to make this better for you? And then that you're sharing any important information. You're asking, is there anything I need to know? And you're telling them anything they need to know about changes in product, changes in delivery, changes in model numbers, whatever it is that you're sharing with them on a regular basis, not just in emails, but in communication about how you're working together. And it's really important to be proactive. Make sure your distributors are successful so you're successful. You can't just sit around and wait for them to call you with an order. That's not sufficient. And it won't get you where you need to go. And it's completely out of your control. So that's what I have for you, Jonathan.
That's excellent, Liz. I was really interested in your point about building out relationships within the business. I think often people just sort of tend to think of that one-to-one, but yeah, I thought it was an excellent point. You got any more to say about how you've seen that work, or just ways to sort of, spread your reach, if you will, within those distributors?
So there's a couple of ways to do it. One is, first, the one that you have a relationship with has to be really successful. And then you have to ask them, hey, who else in your company would be successful selling my product? And can you introduce me? And how is what they're doing different than what you're doing? So if your distributor is happy with you, if they like working with you, and you ask them to introduce you, they probably will. The other thing you can do is go into the organizations, go into LinkedIn. If you don't have LinkedIn Navigator, you can try doing it on regular LinkedIn or any other tool that provides you that kind of information, and look up, okay, whatever your distributor role is. So sometimes it's an engineer, sometimes it's a salesperson, sometimes it's a dentist, sometimes, it could be any number of different things. Who are all of those people in that organization that could be selling your product that aren't? Now you can ask for specific introductions. You could also send emails, personal emails that say, hey, I'm working with so-and-so in your company. I'm helping him do about this much a year. I'd love to help you increase your revenue by that much. Can we talk? You can also use, other campaign tools. Like if you really understand what they're needing, and you can say, hey, this is the product we sell, and here's some of the tools that would make it easy for you to sell it. Can we talk about how I can help you do this? The most important thing to remember is not about me, the person who's with the company that the other company is distributing for. It is for the distributor. It is about the distributor. Every conversation we have is about them and not about us. It's about how do we help them.
Yeah, that's really good. And I thought your systematic approach, the quarterly and then the annual approach was good. This, sales process can be applied to distributors just the way that it can be to new prospects, but sometimes we don't sort of think about, mining those existing relationships, do we?
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem. We also it's mining for additional people, and it's mining in the relationships that you have. They don't always think of you. They don't always know when is the time that people could be asked, they should be asking. So I often help my clients come up with when this is happening with your customer, this is a good time to talk about this. So that we give them a little bit more help about when is it a good fit.
Yeah, and I like what you mentioned about, distributors sell what works. So if you think about it from their perspective, being in their shoes and thinking about, all these suppliers coming to see them, all these different products, etc. And at the end of the day, the ones that make them the money, the ones that are easy to deal with, they sell what works. So it's always a good challenge, do you think, to have that in your mind when you, from a sales perspective, is my offer really working in this account, for this customer or not?
Right, and our distributor is our customer, right? So for our customer and their customer, it has to be a good fit. It has to work, and we have to help them.
Yeah, that's excellent. No, thank you very much for that, Liz. I want to just sort of lead on now with, you mentioned about goals and sort of setting goals, etc., with distributors, and we've got some interesting stuff to sort of show from a Numerik standpoint how we support that. So for those that are new to Numerik, Numerik is a sales performance app, and the Numerik vision is to be the world's most engaging sales rep app. So if we just flick to the next slide, you'll see that we put a lot of effort around building an app that's actually engaging for sales reps to use, which leads to obviously adoption and the word spreading. So if we just move on now, the core concept around Numerik is these little target cards. So we think about it from this perspective of what's the target that we're aiming for the period, for the week or the month or the year, and then it's having those that target sort of broken down in a very granular way, so that we can be tracking our sales in real time, right down to the day. So you'll see in that card we've got that little dotted line, which is what we call the pace line, and then the solid line is the worm, and that's how we're tracking against it. And then the variance between the two is variance to pace line. So you can see in this case here we're 23% ahead. And it's very similar to the way that the Olympic swimming works. People would be familiar with this, where they have that world record pace that flows ahead of the swimmers. And we're able to show exactly where should you be for this point in the race, and are we ahead of that pace line or behind. So that's sort of the core concept that Numerik works off. And you'll see in a second how we then take this out through to distributors. If we just carry on, and what you'll see is from our overall target cards, we can then dive into the detail underneath those cards and see a whole lot of interesting analytics in terms of, there's a revenue swing here, there's margin swing, there's a whole lot of different types of analytics that reps can access, so they can actually see what makes up that overall sales number that they've got there. So that's sort of the background to it. What I wanted now to do is to think about what we've done from a distributor's target standpoint. So we've sort of taken the whole concept of Numerik and being able to sort of take that out all the way down through to distributors or customers of reps. So the background here is we've been thinking about how do we really engage distributors with revenue targets. We kind of found that, there didn't appear to be any really engaging solutions on the marketplace. And then there was an opportunity here for innovation, that we felt that we could really sort of innovate in this area and create something that's quite special. So the challenges that we sort of came across when we sort of worked with companies that were running targets with distributors is sharing progress was often very manual. It's not on. Many companies will have a rebate arrangement in place with their suppliers, their customers, etc. And they find that the reporting on that is very manual. It's a spreadsheet that goes out, once a quarter or that type of thing. Often they will set a target and put a target in place, but they're not really driving the results. So it's like, you set this overall target or goal for the year, but then, you either forget about it or you're not watching the progress. As we know in a game, if you're not watching the score, there's not that whole motivation to do something about it. And the other feedback that we had is that often, a huge amount of rebates dollars are being paid out through to distributors, and they're not really working as hard as they were meant to. So the point of setting a rebate structure in place was to say, hey, if you can get to this point, we'll reward you. But, often they get paid out without the kind of engagement aspect. So that was some of the challenges that we thought about. We move on and had a look at the observation here is we sort of thought, well, we can really leverage all the things that are great about Numerik from a rep standpoint and take this all the way through to distributors. So that was sort of our core concept that we wanted to work on. Right, so the approach really is really giving the distributors access to the shared target that we've set for them, and then being able to watch that in real time. So you'll see this in a second. We were able to give the distributors the targets. They can see how they're going, and they can watch the sort of progress, or watch the game in real time and their progress towards it. So the idea here is that what you can see here is I'll just sort of talk you through these sort of little screens that we've got. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see that we've got a login screen here, where this is Dave's Auto Parts is the end customer here, so the distributor, if you will, or the customer of the rep. And what we've done is that we provide them a login to Numerik. And what they do is you can see here there's an annual goal running. So that where it says annual goal there on the left-hand side there, and we've set them a target to get to, the goal of 15,000 for the year, and they are able to log in at any point in time and see how they're going against the goal that's been set for them. What then happens is we're able to take from that goal and click on it and go through and see the sales broken down at that product category level. And you can see in this example here, some of them are red and some of them are green. And that red and green depicts whether they're ahead or behind last year. So what this does is it opens up the opportunity for a rep and the distributor to have a really meaningful conversation around how they're going on their sales, which products or product groups are working or are doing better than in previous years. And it just, the clarity that gives that meeting is really powerful. So often from a psychological point of view, everyone wants to be winning and don't want to be in the red. So you naturally start to ask those questions of going, well, why is that product group behind, or why is that product behind? Was there a problem with it? Is it just not getting enough airtime within the business? Is there a problem? Was there a problem with supply? And it just helps to start to sort of unpack some of those comments. What we can then do is we can lead on from that. And as you can see in this example here, we've got the $500 gift voucher where we can then tie the incentive or tie a reward to the achievement of that target. So you can see in this example here that, we've got this annual goal and we've set a target to achieve for the period. And we can see there's a goal there to say, right, if we can get to our $15,000, we're going to give you a $500 gift voucher. And this is totally flexible. So there's a little photograph of that person there at the airport, but that's something that you can is totally flexible. We can put any image in there. We can handle any of the different types of rebate arrangements as well. Get to a hurdle and get a percentage over that, or that type of setup. So very flexible from that point, and engaging. So what this is allowing an end customer to do is just log in and watch the game and see how they're performing against it. So really simple, but also really powerful, and a way of putting those goals to work. You also see at the bottom of the screen here where we have the option of not only setting like an annual goal, but we can also set a promotional goal. So this is a promotion that's running maybe for a month, or it could be running for a quarter. And that sort of keeps the distributor not only focused on their annual goal, but also the promo that's running within the month. And within those arrangements, we can do the buy 40, get 10 free type arrangements, or, any of those kind of bundle type of deals. And that just keeps the distributor sort of focused on the short term as well as the long term. So quite important, a quite important little blend there. As new promotions come through, you'll see them appear on your screen. So hey, you can see that coming up next month is this new deal. So yeah, it's really, you're sort of owning, being front of mind in distributors' minds is a big part of this. So if we just flip to the next screen. So this sort of staying front of mind with your distributors is really important. Liz spoke earlier about building those relationships with distributors. Well, in this instance, they've probably got 100 or could be 200 or 300 different people selling to them. So how do you be the people that really stands out in their minds? Creating a winnable game. We all love a game. Watching, are we winning? Whereabouts? How we're tracking right now? The point about building trust, through transparent sharing of the numbers. There's nothing hidden. This is how we're going. Removing the admin burden from the finance team. Often we found rebate tracking, etc., is done by the finance, and it's a hassle and it's a pain. So that kind of removes that and automates all that part of it. Encouraging that customer loyalty. So obviously from distributors' standpoint, and then great for managing the quarterly or the annual rebates or promos. So just sort of a quick summary of this new feature and really how this sort of supports this whole drive that Liz was mentioning about growing through distributors. I don't know if you had any comments just on some of those concepts there, Liz, before we sort of sign off.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what I said earlier, which is these are great tools. We don't use them to badger our distributors. We use them to support our distributors. So when we're having the conversations around these and we're looking at them, we're asking questions like Jonathan said, hey, I noticed you thought you were going to sell a lot more of this product than you did. Are people just not asking for it? Is there a problem? Like, use it as an opportunity to have conversations about how to support them into success. As soon as we get into the badgering part, right? Oh, you didn't hit your number. I thought you were going to hit your number. What's it going to take to hit your number? Then it starts to sound like badgering instead of support. And we want to use this as a way to have discussions about making them successful. When you make money, I make money. I want you to make money. I want you to be successful. I want your product, your clients to love this. I want this to be easy for you to sell. I notice it's not working. How can I help you? And it changes the whole tenor of the conversation, right? So that it's not badgering anymore, it's supporting it. All of our conversations with whether it's our sales reps or whether it's our distributors should be about supporting and helping and understanding what's going wrong and how do we fix it.
Awesome. Would you agree, Liz, that this sort of customer goal cards tool, it's a good sort of, from a rep perspective, a facilitator tool for that communication?
Yes. Yeah, it's great because now I have real specifics I can look at. So I gave you sort of some general things to talk about, but when you're using the Numerik tool, you have very specific information that you can follow through. But again, be very careful if it starts to sound like you're badgering, change the conversation so it's supporting it. And it's great because now you're not guessing, you're not searching, you're not flipping through papers, going through all these other places, trying to find out what they're actually doing compared to goal. It's right there. It's easy. They're easy conversations. They can see it. You can see it. And it changes the dynamic of the conversation.
And it's easy to sort of put those distributor needs first as well, as you say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I can see it. I'm not guessing. I'll sit down when I often sit down with a client and say, let's look at let's look at what products you're selling. Let's look at what your distributors are selling. Let's look at what they sold compared to last year. And this is like all new information to them. And this way you don't have to go search up that data. It's right there. It's easy to see. And you're not playing a guessing game, a research game.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. No, thank you very much for that, Liz. I loved all your comments and I love what you brought to the table today. Just before everyone signs off, obviously, I want to thank Liz and I really want to thank Jonathan for your time today, guys. That was absolutely fantastic. In the next couple of days, you'll be able to get all of Liz's insights, her approaches and secrets, and an overview of what Jonathan shared at our blog, which you can see on the screen. It's called Free Sales Resources. Other than that, if you have any questions or queries for Liz or Jonathan, feel free to drop them a line at their emails. We've got Liz is liz@regarding-sales.com. Jonathan's is jonathan.hubbard@numerik.ly. Also make these available on LinkedIn so you can get in touch with these two fantastic people at your discretion. Other than that, thank you so much for coming along today, everyone, and to anyone who's watching the recording, thank you for watching. I hope to see you all again next time and have a really great rest of your day/week. Awesome. Bye-bye.
Thanks.